the NFL talking, particularly after that, the drop heard around the world on the first play by Christian Watson. Yesterday, Aaron Rodgers was asked if he needs to make any adjustments to his game. Here's what he said.
I got to play on time, and guys got to get open. So, no, I'm not going to change the way I play. We just have to realize who's out there, who we're throwing to, and how we're going to actually make some hay and score some points.
All right, so that's what Rodgers is saying. And we saw some of the body language. We see whatever it is. We saw him on Mac. I've been waiting all week to ask you this question, Bartholomew. They're going to be fine? The offense. Forget the defense. Is that offense with Rodgers, they're going to get Lazard back, they're going to get their tackles back. Are they going to be just fine and be a contender like they've been the last few years?
I mean, I think they're going to be fine, but I don't think they're going to win the division. I think,
They're not going to win the division?
I don't think so. I think we underestimate what Minnesota did, how they looked, defensively bringing in Zadarius Smith, what they were able to add to a solid defense. I think, Aaron Rodgers doesn't have to change the way he plays. He has to change the way he leads. And sometimes these quarterbacks, they get away with not having to be responsible for leading people. You have a young group, and we've been a part of young groups. Bill Callahan would have took you guys out and had you work with the young guys. You have to have that continuity. You have to have that chemistry together. You only get that by putting the work in. It's ironic that every team with 3 and 8 that decided not to play their starters in the preseason. And what happens is now you don't have that room for error to say RELAX, relax,
right? Because
you don't have the time, because now Minnesota has closed the gap.
So which is it? Is it RELAX? Or is it SOS
almost spelled it wrong,
in Green Bay right now?
You had to think about it for a second.
I'm nervous as hell. I'm nervous as hell, Greeny.
Yeah, you did just fine. Which word are we spelling right now in Green Bay?
Greeny, I told you in the meeting this morning, I think the Vikings going to win the division. Listen, I think it's too early to hit the DEFCON button as far as the Green Bay Packers offense.
Yeah.
But the fact that Aaron Rodgers wasn't there in the offseason, when championships are made in the offseason, you knew Devontae Adams wasn't coming back. This happened in March.
Yeah.
Okay? You had a draft. You got young guys. You're off in South America doing your thing.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? All those valuable reps and everything that go on during the offseason, and you don't play in the preseason, they catch up to you now. And every game is valuable. You can't waste games in the National Football League. Minnesota goes out, wins week 1 against the Green Bay Packers. Those games matter.
Tom Brady has veteran receivers. He thought it was important for him to come back for the last preseason game to get in the rhythm. And they came out and they looked like they were in rhythm. Tom Brady got kicked out of a park because he was working with guys that were veterans in the league. Now, we expect Watson, who's a second-round draft pick, not first like Jamar Chase, to come in and give you that type of productivity. It doesn't happen like that.
No, look, the kid's got to catch the ball. I understand that part of it. It's not Rodgers' fault. He handed him the football so well. Diana, why do you look like you are in disbelief at the tone of the conversation here?
Just S-T-O-P. You got a bunch of former players sitting on that desk going, oh, he should have been there. He should have been there.
We would know.
Usually you guys are out there going, it's Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't need to be part of the preseason. He doesn't need to be active with all his receivers. He's the best quarterback in football. But it's just funny how after just one performance, we're immediately going, well, maybe if Aaron was there, the offensive line would have been more in sync. They would have protected him better. Maybe those young receivers could have used the reps. Here's the sense I get from around the league, Mike. Just having some conversations, coaches, players since Sunday, nobody is concerned that Aaron Rodgers is not going to be able to figure this out. Will they be perfect by the end of September? No. But let's have this conversation come early November, and I bet you were singing a different tune.
Get her, niece.
You know who Chuck Nolan is? That's Chuck Nolan.
Not Chuck Nolan.
Castaway. That's Tom Hanks in Castaway. You know, he's on the beach and he's got the wood and he's doing the SOS. He's got the whole thing. He's doing the spiel. That's where the Packers are right now. SOS, because when you're quarterback, Aaron Rodgers is saying guys got to get open. He's taking unnecessary. He's getting. If you watch that game, he got shellacked. What did he have? He had 4 sacks.
4 sacks, and
then on top of that, he got hit on every play.
Yeah.
He's trying to wait for guys to get open. And when you wait for guys to get open, it doesn't matter if your starting tackles come back from injury. It doesn't matter if your offensive line is the best in the NFL. If you're waiting for guys to get open, guess what? on the other side of the ball, the pass rushers, they're salivating because they're getting after you and they're sacking you, they're hitting you. So again,
they don't get
SOS.
there. Instead of
Gassed
him yelling
away.
Wilson, he's yelling Adams, right?
It's Devontae. That's exactly right. D-Wood, you looked. I liked when you sit back and you start sipping the tea. I like it. What's going through your head?
Well, like we all sitting here basically giving you the deal. Then Diana, I guess she wants to be the contrarian, and take the Packers angle, whatever. It's just like, are we watching the same thing here? Like Aaron Rodgers was getting shellacked out there. Receivers couldn't get open.
Please,
it's not about Aaron Rodgers. It's about his
Aaron Rodgers
group.
needs to be. You guys are nuts.
It's not about Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is only as good as the parts around him. And because those parts around him isn't good, he has to put in the extra work. He has to get there and start throwing with these guys. He has to coach them up to position. Hey, this is where I need you at. You only get that by reps. You only get good at football by playing football.
Look, the proof is going to be in the pudding. We're going to start finding it out. They play the Bears this weekend. We'll see what happens. But this was a big argument yesterday. And Dominique was on the side that Diana was on, and some of the other guys were on the side you guys are on. And we'll see. If they get things right by the end of September, then we'll forget about all this. But that was a very, very bad start. Can't wait. Well, look, you can't ask for a better start to week 2 than we're getting here. We know this division is going to be loaded all year long. Feels like every single weekend we will have one huge game, and tonight it starts. Diana, I want to get from you first and foremost. We see Patrick Mahomes show up with a sore wrist. Is he fine for tonight, and what do you have your eye on in this matchup?
All right, let's just start with Patrick Mahomes' wrist. The x-rays came back clean, so obviously that is fantastic news in terms of how he's feeling. It is sore. He's getting treatment on it, but I spoke with a source yesterday afternoon about it. They're not too concerned. Patrick isn't going to be able to work through that. As for what I'm looking for tonight, right? So you look at this Chargers defense. You bring in a guy like Khalil Mack for these kind of games, Greeny, right? They are going to try to do everything they can to free up Bosa and Mack to try to pass the rush, to try to rush the quarterback and try to get at Patrick Mahomes. You're going to see a lot of split safety zone tonight, but this is why the Chargers did what they did in the offseason.
Yeah, so let's focus in on that matchup for a minute, because you got two of the biggest stars in the NFL that'll be staring at each other when this game starts. Patrick Mahomes threw 5 touchdowns last week. Khalil Mack had 3 sacks in his debut as a Charger last week. What are you watching in that matchup rushing the passer?
I just want to see, how do they take care of Mack? Because you have Mack, you got Bosa. You can't chip both of them at the same time. So they're going to have to put effort and make sure that where's the back at? Are we having our tight ends stay in a little bit? Because you can have the tight ends help a little bit. But then also, you go out, you get Kyle Van Noy from the Patriots. He was available. So now you have multiple pieces that can move around. And you're not just going to keep Mack in one spot. You're not going to put Bosa in one spot so they know exactly where they're going to be. They're going to move them around. That would be the smart thing to do. So we'll see what they do tonight. But 3 sacks, week 1, it's a good start.
It's an interesting matchup to me, Bart, because we saw what Mahomes did last week, and all of a sudden everyone is saying, oh, this Kansas City offense is even better. Maybe it's the defense they played last week. This is a totally different test, right?
Yeah, that was homecoming. Let's just be honest. Like, we understand that was homecoming going against the Arizona Cardinals. But this is where you miss a guy like Tyreek Hill, because now you have a shutdown corner in J.C. Jackson. You're saying, well, who am I going to put him on? So if he goes to their second best receiver, you know that he can shut him down. So that allows you to put more guys in the coverage and allow you to play more complex coverages against Travis Kelce. You can bracket him from an outside player. You can chip him at the line of scrimmage, because there's no threat that somebody's going to get beat immediately. So now if you're able to put a guy like J.C. Jackson in bracket, then now that means Mahomes has to hold on to the ball a little longer. That's where that pass rush can get there. You can add extra guys because you fear nobody over there. You don't think that Travis Kelce's not going to run by you. He's not that type of vertical threat. So now that allows you to make sure that you can take away their number one guy and start blitzing guys and give Mahomes different looks to look at the entire game.
So, D-Wood, you and I were sitting back talking this morning. You were having, I must say, I was very impressed, a protein smoothie and a little egg whites.
Yeah.
A very healthy breakfast for the big
What
fella.
the hell are you doing, dude? I don't know that guy.
Hey, man, I'm trying to be right. I'm trying to get right, man.
Okay.
No?
And we were talking
Get them
about
skinny jeans.
When the Chargers, what this game means to them tonight, because the Chiefs are the champs, and you want to go into their house and you want to take the ring, the belt from the champion. You got to knock them out in their building. It's a big statement game tonight for the Chargers.
You just said it, Greeny. It's a statement game. Think about it. You're on the road, short week, Thursday night football. You already got a division win last week against the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, if you can go into Kansas City and get a win against the Chiefs, a team that's perennially been the best team in that division, you're talking about making a statement not only just in the AFC West, but in the all across the National Football League. Get 2 big-time wins. That would be huge for this Chargers team.
Well, a lot of people, Diana, love the Chargers coming into this season, and tonight is their chance to prove it. Yes, they got a great win at home against the Raiders. Division wins this year in that division are as critical as they've ever been maybe in NFL history, but this is the one that will have the entire league talking about them tomorrow if they win.
That is for sure. And to win and beat the Kansas City Chiefs without their top receiver, I mean, that's an even better story, right? And look, you got to figure the Kansas City Chiefs are going to make this Chargers team run the ball because they struggled with that last week. And in terms of the receiving core, I did have a conversation with someone with the Chargers over the week just about how do you make up for that Keenan Allen production. And obviously Mike Williams steps up in there. And they do like their weapons. They do. So this isn't a situation where they're panicking. But let's just face the reality here. When you don't have your top receiver, the guy that the offense runs through, you're immediately at a disadvantage. So this would be a gigantic victory for this Chargers team if they're able to beat the Chiefs without Keenan Allen.
Absolutely. And they threw to Gerald Everett a lot last week. And I say that because I had Mike Williams on my fantasy team. They didn't throw him the ball at all. So they need to do something a little different tonight. Meanwhile, we talked briefly about the Packers defense earlier, but it is the offense.